and we are live from Gator's Garage. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Gator's Garage, the home of historical gaming in the wonderful city of Savannah, Georgia. Have me and Randy coming here. Hey, say hi to the folks, Randy.
Hey everybody, thanks Mike for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as we've been doing, we've been kind of walking through version 3 with you guys, kind of a local flavor for the folks that are in and around Savannah and for the rest of you around the world. Well, thanks for giving us a watch. And while we're getting started, be sure to do all that. You help us out by doing all the YouTube things. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, share it with your friends, talk about it. Hopefully, we've got a little different perspective than the other guys and give you something else to talk about. Share it with your groups, help us grow the channel, and help us support the channel by buying some merch. And there'll be links for all that in the description at the when we post it up on YouTube. As always, if you have questions, drop them in there. We'll get back with you. If you have something you'd like us to cover in more detail, let us know. But as you know, all of us are kind of finding out about this third edition at about the same time, which is really kind of cool. So, with all that being said, let's talk about vehicles. I think everybody who's a gamer likes tanks. I mean, that's
Tanks are
just
cool.
a fact. Tanks are awesome. I've written at least 3 hobby articles on how much gamers love our tanks. And so far, what we've seen is tanks are going to play a much more integral part of the new bolt action, especially if you play with higher point levels as they're recommending. So that's going to be pretty cool. Um, we'd like to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll just walk through the. There we go.
Yeah, I think they were already a pretty good part, but basically just one type of tank. Now I think we're going to see a lot more variety and some really cool tanks start to come on the table.
Yeah, I agree with you, Randy. As we look through the article here, and pardon me for not looking right at the camera, but the guys at Warlord know what's coming. They've seen it, and maybe some of the playtesters. Vehicles. So it is not uncommon at all for an infantry based game like Bolt Action. Gonna reach back again to that old stalwart squad leader. They issued first edition, which came with some basic armor rules. I think you had Shermans, M10 tank destroyers, you had T-34 76s, you had SU-122s, SU-100s. Germans had STG-3s, Mark IVs, and I think a Mark IV short with canister. And
Hmm.
that was pretty much the mix of your armor, and it worked well enough for the scenarios. I mean, it was an infantry game. Hey, we've heard that before, right?
Yeah,
So when they came out with what's that, Randy?
I said yeah.
Yeah. So the next module they came out with was Cross of Iron, and they completely reworked the armor system. So this is something that those of us that have been in and around World War II tactical gaming, we are not strangers to seeing armor go from a kind of an add-on, which I think everyone would agree that in version 2, uh, and even in version 3, they're covered with a pretty broad swath. You're not going to really see the difference between a 75L and a 75 double L, much in this game. Um, but still, they're looking to differentiate the vehicles and make some positive changes. What do you think, Randy?
Yeah, I mean everybody's got a big tank or something on their shelf that they want to play, but they just can't. And so hopefully, I think this is going to open the door a little bit.
Yeah, speaking of big tanks, there's a Grant, and I have one of those sitting on my workbench, and a Bishop from North Africa. And of
Yeah,
course,
the
I've
bishop.
been.
I love the bishop. I wish I had one. A movable light howitzer that also fires a +4 penetration shells, 25 pounder. Um,
25 pounder is a good general purpose gun.
yeah,
It really is. So I think the new rules are going to allow us to make better use of these guns. We've already seen they got nerfed a bit with the machine guns being cut back, but again, I'll tell you, and I continue to touch on it. I remember in Squad Leader that your dismounted medium machine gun that the infantry used had a rating of 4, where just about all your vehicle machine guns were 2. I think your heaviest vehicle machine gun was a 4, and
Hmm.
that was like a half track mounted, something mounted on the back of a half track. So not uncommon to see vehicle machine guns have a lighter rate of fire than their dismounted counterparts. And I think Warlord really moved the right direction with that. Even if Randy, it's going to kind of reduce the effectiveness of that infamous Doc of Stewart.
Yeah, I mean they could have went and gave it an extra minus to hit because it's so inaccurate. But I think reducing the dice also reduces the amount of time you spend rolling. So it works out the same whether you give them a minus to hit or whether you just cut their dice in half. Kind of works out the same, but you're rolling less dice, so it's a little faster gameplay.
Right. And we have seen everything we're hearing from the designers and from the information and from the intel reports is they're looking for ways to speed play. So more stuff on the table, but it's going to die quicker.
Yeah.
All right, vehicles and damage. Well, first thing is softskins.
Oh
Those
boy.
infamous machine gun jeeps that you've been terrorizing the rest of us with are going to
Yeah.
become a lot more vulnerable.
It's pretty sad, but I think they're done. Really do.
No more patrol for you.
So a lot easier to kill now. Um,
Yes,
they're still 6+, but you don't have the damage roll anymore. Once you penetrate, it's done.
again, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's going to make your trucks and your Jeeps. Yeah, because there were a lot of guys that like to run around with, and I think you were one of those, trucks with machine guns, Jeeps with machine guns,
The
and
the
just
twin
wow.
machine gun Jeep for the British is just too awesome. I mean, 10 shots. I can roll up on a mortar team and just incinerate them.
Just
I've done
ruined
it
their day.
over and over again. It just
Yeah. Yeah. But now that Jeep in the new rules, if I'm understanding correctly, is going to roll 3 shots
yeah,
or six shots because half,
yeah.
and the medium went up to 6, but it's half. So six
Hmm.
shots. And if there's a rifle squad anywhere around there with any kind of a machine gun and they roll a 6+, you're dog meat.
Yeah. I mean, at first I thought, well, they won't be too bad because it's still 6 shots for 40 something points on a moving vehicle that's wrecky. And I'm like, well, it's not 10, but it's 6. That's not bad. It's a little easier to hit now. But then when they introduce these rules here to where you no longer have to roll on the damage chart once you penetrate, it's done.
Yeah.
That's gonna kill it,
Yeah.
and especially for the British because there's so many other armored cars that you can bring. It's not like you don't have a few choices.
Right.
So people quit playing these Jeeps with the machine guns.
Or they'll play them the way they're intended, and that will be as a unit to get out and maybe spot or carry an artillery observer or get an officer around the battlefield. In a
Yeah.
pinch, you might throw it into action. But
Now on
yeah,
that,
no,
there's a couple of Jeeps, American Jeeps that are armored.
right,
There's ones with frontal armor, the SAS Jeeps, and so if they're hit from the front, they're a 7+.
right.
So I'm wondering, hopefully, that rule they'll still have to penetrate the armor from the front. Small arms fire won't hurt it.
That seems to be the concept. I mean, that would certainly make sense, Randy.
Yeah.
And that'll be, once the rule book drops, that'll be probably one of the first questions that I'm sure folks will be asking. Um, and they go on to talk about, okay, now we're dealing with the half tracks. Now you got to
Okay.
deal with the
Now it gets exciting.
yeah,
This I like. This is one change that I'm really going to like, and I'm thinking they're going to change something else too. Um, so if you look at the armored transports, will no longer
well,
run away And
Are you skipping the?
yeah, let's don't skip. Let's go ahead and just talk about the damage chart.
I think that's important. I've already seen some discussion of it online.
Yeah, yeah,
You've got two kinds now. You've got the superficial,
yep.
which
This is a
can
really interesting
only
chart here.
can only damage the vehicle unless you do like I did and you fail to put out the fire.
Yeah, yeah. The fire will
But
get you every time.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like this honestly. Um, the steering compromised. Okay, so now it looks like we're going to have all kinds of markers for a vehicle. If it's immobilized, if the engine's damaged, if the turret's jammed, if the steering's compromised, we're going to have a marker for every one of these little different things. Because you're going to have to keep
You know
track
what?
of it.
That's a fair point, and I'm going
Yeah,
to enjoy selling them to you.
yeah. I mean,
Although you're right, you got steering, and so you would need like a steering wheel to
yep,
show that's compromised. Cruise stunned, which I think was one you had anyway.
yeah,
Um, and that's just through pin markers and down markers, so that's no
yeah.
change.
Crew stun is
Steering
just for the
compromised,
round anyway, so that really
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
affect it.
Steering compromised, yeah. You'll need something to mark that.
Yep.
Turret jammed is not a new one. Um, I mean, in there you're going to know which vehicle it is and that it's jammed. That shouldn't be hard for players to remember. Um,
Well, you might see a lot more vehicles on the table now, so there might be
Fair
more to keep
point.
track of. Yeah.
Right. And there's different ways you can either kit bash or, I'm sure Litgo Aero Systems would be more than happy to do some markers for you on that one.
Yeah.
Um, Again, an engine damage, same thing.
Yeah.
Now it's slow, so you got to have some way to mark it.
Mark slow. Yep. Immobilized. We've always had something for that. That's nothing new.
There again, I think we've generally known when a vehicle is immobilized because usually you only had one. So one or two. I mean, when you got a tank and an armored car on the table, the armored car gets immobilized. Everybody knows it's the armored car that's been immobilized.
Hmm.
Um, you know, of course, I have so many different markers. It's nothing for me to mark something.
3D
On
printers are
fire,
probably going crazy.
you don't really even need. So, let's talk about extra markers, which is kind of something don't know that anybody's thought about. As you know, I think you and I are both big marker fans. We like to be able to
Squad
tell the
leaders.
battlefield at a glance. And so there's different ways that you can use to mark these. Uh, quite honestly, a little bit of cards, a little bit of card stock, and some printer paper, and you can make some quick markers.
Make
Easy
some, yeah,
peasy. You want,
real quick.
yeah, if you want something a little heavier, there's like a craft foam you can get. You've seen markers I've made out of that,
Yeah,
Randy, and they're very
yeah,
robust.
and they're nice little
So
crosses and stuff.
sure, yeah. The important thing is that whatever your marker is, both you and your opponent know what they represent.
Understand it. Yep.
Um, that's really the important thing. But creative gamers or gamers that want to put the time in, they can come up with their own markers. Would not surprise me to see Warlord come out with some type of marker system to add on because a
Mhm.
lot, everybody's talking how they're going to add more armor. And so this is going to be, if you got to your point, Randy, if you've got a platoon of 3 Shermans supporting a light infantry platoon, then you're going to need to track which one's doing what. So yeah,
Yep.
that's really important.
Absolutely.
Notice that open top hit on top armor gets a +1. That's pretty generous, to be honest. That's I think I'd make it even worse. I guess for a glancing hit. And so glancing hits are going to degrade the performance of your vehicle.
Yeah.
So, and again, they talk about the on fire. So for those of you that haven't heard the story, Randy and I were playing a game, and it was the basically the Gentleman's War box set. We were I think pretty much running, and he had an anti-tank rifle, and I had one, and he had this squad that I was just chewing to pieces, and I hit them, and they broke and ran out of cleared the firing arc for his anti-tank gun that promptly fired on my armored car and caught it on fire, and I failed the morale check.
Yeah.
It was how many sixes did we have in a row,
Oh
Randy? In a
gosh.
row, 3 or 4?
I think the odds of everything happening was like 450 to 1.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it
was
was
great.
astronomical for this to happen. And you were sitting
Yeah,
on the objective that you needed to win the game, and I blew you off of it.
it's like John Russell was saying yesterday that we play these games because they're cinematic, and that really was like something out of a Hollywood movie.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I'm sitting here.
Even though you're on the losing end, you just have to laugh, and it's a great time, you know.
Yes, yes, yeah. It was just it's why we play games for stories like that, and it was just and I mean that's going to continue to happen certainly with this. So let's talk about full damage. So if you roll higher
Yep.
than a vehicle's damage value, then you've penetrated the armor. So if you're equal to, you do a glancing blow. And man, if you penetrate,
Okay.
you got a 50% chance of a kill.
Yep.
Like you got the ever popular on fire that I hate. So
Yeah.
yeah, you got it. You know,
The one
you
thing I
punch
don't see
through.
on here, Mike, and we don't have the rule book yet, but I don't see massive damage. Where if you get three over the armor, you roll twice on the damage chart. I don't see that yet.
See, I was wondering about that. I was thinking that myself. I'm sitting here glancing through this, and it says if you roll higher, and it may be something that's just buried in the rules.
Yeah, we just
Um,
don't know.
because I definitely agree with the massive damage. There's a big difference between a Sherman getting hit with a Mark IV 75 and a Panther 75 or a Tiger's 88. I mean, just
Yeah. Well, and
just
you're talking penetration. So basically, if an armored round goes and just goes into the hull, it can do some damage. But if it goes all the way through the tank, and out the other side, you're going to have a lot more damage. You're going to have a lot greater
that's
chance
right.
of that tank being destroyed.
Yeah, yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. But again, here as you look at the chart, it's been streamlined,
Yep.
and 50% chance if you penetrate, you're probably going to knock that guy out. If you penetrate an open top vehicle from the top, they're dog meat. I mean,
Yeah.
3+ and they're toast. Of course, I can tell you from playing Flames of War that I can miss a 3+. That's not hard.
Wow.
So there you go.
Imagine,
But that's going to be pretty interesting.
yeah.
Man,
Imagine
man,
the
you want?
Italians that get the double roll and the penetration. They
Oh,
get
I'm
two
sure all
chances.
that's being reworked. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that would be nasty. Yeah, I always thought that was kind of odd. The Italians of all people getting a double roll
Yeah.
on penetration. Because that Italian 47, it was okay, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's we've talked about soft skins. So often those will be your recon and your basic, transport up to the line of battle, and then or at least to where your troops are going to drop off and engage. And we've talked about armored vehicles. What happens to them? Now, coming behind the armored vehicles are the various types of transports.
Yep.
Obviously, what you're seeing here is a soft skin. Probably don't want to get that anywhere near someone that can shoot at them.
Yeah. So they got this enemy proximity, which is pretty much a carryover from version 2,
Right.
with one difference. Are they talking about it here? I think
They
it is.
do.
It
And
is here.
armored. So if you look over on the other side of that paragraph, just
Yep.
above that truck, um, so prime example, the truck here. If you unload it and then leave it, and it ends up closer to the enemy than to you, it's done. They surrender and get out of town.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Uh,
something else different in here now. So now they say it's
right.
outright destroyed, or the crew destroys the vehicle before running away. Whereas
Right.
in version 2, they said that they just speed away from the battlefield. So that means the vehicle is not on the board anymore, but now it obviously is going to be a wreck on the table.
Okay. And they even give you the option. If you've chosen not to use the rules for Rex,
Mhm. Yeah.
assume they're driven rapidly away from the action and do not return. I would say definitely trucks should stay on the battlefield. Probably anything smaller than a truck probably shouldn't. Um, again, I'm picking that up from other games, other lives, if you will.
Yeah.
Armored transports though are very different. So they take a morale test
Yep.
if they're close.
Now, this is really exciting for me because I have an LVT that I like to run, and
Right.
it it'll haul 30 dudes, but it's more than just a transport. It's a gunship, And once you dump the
Yes,
guys out,
indeed.
you have an empty transport that you don't want that 140 some odd point thing to just run away. Looks like now it's going to be able to take a morale check to stick around.
Right. Well, and we need to remember too that even with machine guns, half tracks are not Bradley fighting vehicles. You
Right.
know, they had machine guns on them, but they weren't designed to lead. They were designed to lay back and put fire down. And if you'll notice, generally when I'm running half tracks, they're usually, a little bit to the oblique of whatever infantry squad they're supporting, so they can lay down fire. But my opponent's guys can't easily get to the half track and either make it run off or, God forbid, assault the thing and destroy it. Be curious to see how some of those rules are going to work too. And I would be loath, of course, we're talking bad dice Baker here. I'd be loath to trust even a morale jack.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Now, one
yeah.
thing they don't talk about here, and I'm kind of wondering, is they don't say anything about the unit getting pinned by small arms fire. So I'm wondering if they're going to take that away.
Well, and I've always felt that the pinning of open topped units by small arms fire was too generous for the infantry.
I can see softskins
Um,
doing that because, in fact,
Absolutely.
so if you look at this truck here, and this is my contention. All right, say you're shooting at this truck,
Right.
and it's a lot easier to kill them guys sitting way up in the top with no protection than it is to hit something on that truck that's going to disable it. I'm thinking maybe they should actually have a soft skin guys could be wounded on there, but I don't think they're going to get that in depth in the rules. But you
No,
know,
they're headed the other direction.
if I was in
But
this truck and I was getting shot at, I'd be jumping out because you're just
right,
sitting ducks up there.
right.
But when you're in an
Well,
armored
and that's what
vehicle,
it's
you know that you can't be hurt unless you start getting hit
right.
by like a heavy machine gun or something worse.
Yep. Yeah. I'll be real curious. I'm like you. I'll be real curious to see what they do with the pinning rules because I
Yeah.
agree with you. Again, just conjecture, folks. But if it were me and
So
Randy,
I have
um,
a C-15 TA, which is an armored truck that
right,
it hauls 8 guys, and I usually use it to run my commandos in. But if they're
right.
going to take away that pinning rule, that vehicle is going to become really, really useful.
It's open topped.
It's open topped. It's
Okay.
hard to find an armored troop carrier that's not open topped. I think there's only like one or two in the whole game.
Yeah, I think the French have one, and I think the Italians might have one,
Yeah.
but everybody else was open top, and with good reason. That
You
thing
want to get
takes
out.
around. Everybody wants to get out right
Yeah.
now.
If you ever tried to bail out of a Humvee, you know how hard it is.
Got it. I hear you.
Yeah.
Never had that misfortune. You know, and I understand getting out of a Russian BMP is a pain too.
Is it? Yeah.
So yeah, closed top versus open top. Anyway, so yeah, I was like you, Randy. I don't see where they're putting pins on open tops.
Yeah.
I really hope they've done away with that rule. Um, or at least require something than just okay, shoot at the guy, he gets an automatic pin.
Well,
That's
and
not.
honestly, say you have now soft skins, I can see the pins, but an armored
Yep.
transport, I
Yeah.
can see the vehicle taking a pin because the driver is exposed. The crew or the passengers are down below the armor level. They're hiding. They don't have to be
It's
exposed
gonna.
to drive it. So the
It's gonna.
vehicle takes a pin, but the passengers do not.
It would depend on the vehicle because, like, a half track has an armored cab,
Yeah.
and unless yeah, so it'd be a lot harder to rattle his cage. He
Yeah.
still wouldn't be happy.
But
That
like the soft skin, the bullet's going right through that door. It's not slowing
you bet.
down.
No, no, yeah. So again, a little tweak on the transports.
Yeah.
Your armored transports are going to become a little bit more resilient, but as an experienced player, I would still tend to hold those armored transports. If they're empty, I'd hold them back toward the rear, and once they drop their infantry off, I'd let the infantry push up and let that that machine gun, which is now has gone from a rate of fire 6 down to a rate of fire 3, by the way.
3. Yep.
But let that machine gun reach out, and but it's extended the range.
So, well,
So
only on the heavy machine gun. So I think a lot of people will
okay,
be upgrading to the heavy machine gun.
where you can, sure,
Yeah,
a
because
lot of American stuff can put
that
that
means
Ma Deuce on
you
there.
can sit out of range of a regular machine gun and just spray bullets at them, and they can't do anything back unless they move.
Right. And actually that would be the best use of one of those armored transports. Sit out there at 48 inches because there's no range modifier anymore. So you
My
sit out there.
LDT has two pintle machine guns. Can be up. Both of them can be upgraded to heavies. So
Jeez.
it's going to get those two heavies. It's going to have the auto cannon on it, and then it's still going to have the forward-facing medium machine gun. It's going to be a gunship.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm
That's
liking
that's
it.
what
I like it.
that's what we make anti-tank weapons for.
Yeah.
All right. So vehicle points costs.
Yay.
Oh, everybody's been going on. Okay, so they're pushing things up and forward. They've actually dropped the price on a Tiger 2, which is like, really? And some of that is because, the machine guns on it, which in quite honestly in an infantry fight, that is unless you're fighting against troops that are
Uh,
in bunkers or buildings.
okay. So this is I've talked to a tank commander, and this is the coax machine gun. You know what it's for on a tank?
Yeah, spotting.
To aim the main gun.
Right.
They fire that coax, and then they know the main gun's on line. And that was old, back in the day. Now nowadays they got fire control where the computers do everything for you. You just push a
Right.
button and it shoots. But
Right.
back in World War II, they didn't have that sophisticated fire control, so they used the
Right.
coax to aim the main gun.
Well, and it also gave the gunner something besides the main gun to use on infantry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because if you're like a lot of the British tanks originally didn't have an HE round, so that coax was all they had to deal with enemy infantry. Plus, unless they had a pintle mounted machine gun, and a lot of vehicles didn't have those to begin with.
Yeah, that's something
So
else about the rate of fire being reduced is actually more accurate because tanks can only carry so much ammunition, and you can't have a guy
good
run up
point.
and give you more ammunition in the middle of a battle. What they got inside the tank is what they got. So they didn't just sit there and just and just keep firing. They would burst, try to conserve
That's true.
ammunition. Once it's gone,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah. So they shaved about 140 points
Yeah.
off the veteran Tiger 2.
Yeah, and I don't know why
138
they
points.
use the
There we go.
veteran as a because nobody's going to bring a veteran tiger.
Right.
They're going to bring a
Well,
regular.
yeah, and I'm sure the regular's been shaved down something
Yeah,
similar.
yeah, yeah. And I'm hoping they still have the low fuel option because I think for the Tiger with its massive range on its gun, that you don't need to move it a lot. You just need a good field of fire, and you just sit there and blink away.
So what was the low fuel option?
It knocked about 50 points off of the cost of the tank, and basically every time you moved, you roll a dice. On a one, it runs out of fuel. On a two, it has one more turn before it runs out of fuel. And in a 3+,
Okay.
it moves as normal. But once it
Okay.
runs out of fuel, it can't move anymore. It's stuck right there. It's immobilized.
Right. Okay.
The turret
Yeah, I
can
can
still
see
spin.
without do what?
The turret can still spin, but it can't move anymore.
Right.
But with
Yeah.
a
Well,
11 armored tank, you really don't have a lot to worry about.
yeah, you're kind of a rolling bunker anyway, right?
Yeah. So hold on now. So I got to show off my Tiger too.
Oh, absolutely. Hang on just a minute. Got to get a good up close and personal view of that here. Let's see here.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
I've got a little work to do on the track still. Um, but I got most, it's 90, 5% painted.
Looks good, Randy.
Thanks.
You do good
Yeah,
work.
and I've only used it in a Tank Wars game
Sure.
because of the cost, and it did really well actually in a Tank Wars game. I think it got me a third place when it was the
Nice.
first time I'd ever played in the Tank Wars.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing about Tank Wars. Um, it was obvious what it was. They pretty much just took the same rules. They added a few special rules to it, and it was essentially bolt action with tanks. Um, I'm kind of sad to see them retire that with launching Achtung Panzer because Achtung Panzer is a very different beast as far as tank fighting. But
Yeah,
with the new rules, you can still field those. Now the Tigers, you can run those. You should be able to run those as a two tank platoon because the Germans did that quite often. They ran the bigger vehicles in two tank platoons instead of three or four. Two
yeah,
King Tigers on the table. That's of course that eat up most of your points right there.
yeah.
Even
And a
the
lot of
even the
times
cheap one,
they would run a Tiger with a couple of Panzer fours.
right? Yeah. So there's your changes to there's kind of your changes to version three in terms of armor. I have a feeling we've probably just skimmed the surface. I know here in Savannah we're actually going to launch an escalation league in October. Probably starting that first Tuesday or Thursday in October at either Savannah Lion Games or at my clubhouse in my HOA, and we're gonna really do it um, in layers. We're gonna teach the infantry, learn the infantry first, and then we're gonna learn about guns, and then we're gonna do vehicles, and then we're gonna do armor. And the idea is going to be for everybody to learn the game. Many escalation leagues they want to do it by points build, whereas I'm going to do it by type of weapon build. And the idea being for you to really get your hands around one type of weapon before you add another. It's a teaching method I've seen used very well in several games. Warlord used it in the Gates of Antares,
Mm.
and it's a very effective way to teach the game and keeps from really overwhelming people. And I have a feeling this version three, there's going to be a lot to push around and a
Yeah,
lot to learn.
it's going to take a while to
So
unpack everything.
yeah, I mean, there's some of us haven't even fully learned version two. Fuck me, but I'm all the time. Randy's all the time correcting me on something. All right, no, hang on, Mike. So yeah, it'll be a bit. I'm sure that by the time the first tournaments roll around, I think the first one here in the southeast will be first big one will be Siege of Augusta in January. I'm sure.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
and so overseas, World Open War, I think, is coming up like
yeah,
weeks after the release of the new rules, and they're going to go with the new rules. So guys are going to be scrambling to put a force together and be ready for it.
put a force together and read the rules. Well, just
Yeah.
put the rule book in your John, and that's your bathroom reading material for the next month. Ask me how I know.
Yeah. The
So there you
bathroom's a
go.
great teaching tool. So my Sifu, my karate instructor, told me that to train for squats, he said when you go in the bathroom to brush your teeth, squat down while you're brushing your teeth.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
Of course, you still do that, right? Still work on those squats.
yeah, yeah. I'd probably
Sure,
blow my
sure.
knee out
Yeah,
if I did that right now.
yeah. That makes two of us. Wow. So that's kind of our review of third edition. Again, if you got a comment, please throw it out. If you disagree, bring it. We don't
Yeah,
mind. We're all here to have a good conversation. If you got something you'd like to see us cover in second edition bolt action, it's still running. It's going to run up through September 26th. So keep asking. Um, and I would be speaking of drop release weekend. I would imagine there will be version three product at Huracan, which is in Florida, that
yeah.
weekend. Just
They're talking
I
about
know I'm
demos
I'm
at there.
huh?
They're talking
Yeah,
about running demos at version 3 demos.
yeah.
So
I'll probably be running a few myself. Look for the Gator Games booth.
yeah,
So that'll be fantastic. Continuing our other series, Randy is continuing to bring us version two Army list to analyze, and we
yep,
still have quite a bit of play between now and September. So, Randy, if you want to share that, or did you flip it
I
over to
think
me?
I
Hang on.
gave you that.
There we go.
There we
Got
go.
it.
So yeah, so tomorrow, some of y'all know about Tabletop Simulator, and if you ever heard of Bo Mortensen, me and him are going to be playing a game tomorrow, and I'll be bringing my NashCon list, and he threw together this list to play against me. So I'm all excited about that. But we've got his list here to look at and see what everybody thinks of that.
So you've got an officer in there, and he's running. And this is your list or his list? His
This
list.
is his list. Yeah. This is Bo
Okay.
Mortensen's list.
So
Yep.
we've got
So he's running Partisan.
inexperienced officer. You
So
guys make my teeth itch with those inexperienced officers. I can't stand it.
yeah. So he's got a Partisan army. Um, he's been
That's
itching to
awesome.
really play this.
Right.
Uh,
Partisan cavalry. That's the best of both worlds, man.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So he's got 2 8-man Partisan cavalry squads.
Yeah.
They're going to be tough fighters. They got a lot of movement. They're even more than 24-inch range. Wow. Normal cavalry I thought was 18. Was it 9 and 18?
That's the range. That's the range of their rifles, Randy. The carbine has a range of
Okay.
24.
Okay. Yeah, it may be farther
Uh,
down. All right. But
without
when they
without looking it up, I want to say that the cavalry has a walk of 9 and a run of 18. I
okay,
could
that
be
makes sense.
wrong.
Yeah. But when they're
Yeah,
mounted though, their carbines are treated as pistols though.
that's correct.
Yeah.
That sounds
When they
right.
dismount,
And
then they
that's how
have
you
a
equip them
rifle.
with carbines.
Yeah.
And a pistol only has a range of 6.
Yep. But they're not
And
really
see, it
worried
says,
about that while they're mounted.
yeah.
They're ready to assault you.
And you see there they got the special rule cavalry carbine. That's what's going on there.
Yeah. Yep. Not very
Yeah,
expensive.
and
98 points for 8 guys on a horse. That's not bad. They've got
no.
recce, and because that cavalry rule, they got recce, and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, okay.
no,
I
they're,
can
they're
see.
not as bad as Polish Lancers though. If anybody's ever played against Polish Lancers, they get double swings.
Oh,
So if 8 guys would swing 16 times,
wow.
they get you out in the open, you're toast.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
ask
had a
my
squad.
Gurkhas about that.
Ask your girl. Ask me how I know.
So, but it worked out because he killed one, and then I immediately assaulted with another squad of Gurkhas, and I killed his cavalry after that. So,
Oh, oh. So standard partisan squad there with the Panzerfaust.
yeah, Panzerfaust.
Uh,
Wow, they get to take Panzerfaust. That's pretty cool.
got 2 tank. So basically, what he has is 3 tank hunter teams and 2 cavalry teams to maneuver with.
Yeah. So look up at
Oh,
the top here. Look how many dice he has.
24.
24
Oh my
dice.
gosh.
I was like, oh my god. And I have 20 on
Lordy.
my British list. I was like, yeah, I got a lot of dice. And then I saw his list. I'm like, oh man.
Hmm. What's funny is the order dice pack only comes with 12. So to get
You gotta have
and
two
most of
packs.
it's only come with like 6. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Uh little hokey here having a partisan unit with a flamethrower, but okay, I guess if they allow it. Poor maintenance, okay. What's poor maintenance do you know?
Okay, so it runs out on a 2+, a 1 to 2 instead of just a 1.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And that
So
and that eliminates the
they
team,
run out
right?
of fuel.
Okay.
Yep. All right. He's got a medium mortar, inexperienced. It's the way he likes to run them. A lot of people run them that way, just for
Yeah.
you just have to have line of sight, and you just stay out of range of any rifles. The only thing that really gets them is those Jeeps with the twin MMGs.
Oh, Jeeps, armor cars. I ran a mortar over one time, or was that you? One of us ran a mortar over one time.
I've used an 8+ armored car, full enclosed, because it's a tank. It's a light tank, even though it's an armored car.
Puma,
And you can
Puma.
run. Yeah, Pumas will do it. You can just run over artillery
Chunk, chunk, chunk,
pieces
chunk.
at will. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's dead.
It sucks to be you.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right. Sniper team inexperience. This is quite interesting. I'm
Yeah.
wondering how that's going to work. Um, very vulnerable to being killed,
Yeah.
and you're going to have a -1 to hit. You're not going to hit on a 3 anymore. You're going to hit on a 4, unless nah, because I know the sniper rules say that the only thing that affects the shooting is pins and if you're missing
Right.
an assistant. It doesn't say anything about inexperience, but I've never seen anybody bring an inexperienced sniper team before. So I'll be
Right.
curious. I'll ask him tomorrow if that affects their shooting as well.
We'll pull that banner off there. It's
Yeah, I was going to say
interfering
we
with
won't
it.
be able to see the bottom
No,
of it.
not a
All right,
problem.
so
No problem.
he, Partisans with a bazooka. How about that?
Oh my gosh. These must be
Inexperienced though.
Yugoslavians.
It's
They got
inexperienced
everything.
though. I'm inexperienced again. So that will have a
Great.
-1 to shoot. You think you would
Yep.
want to hit with that when you run up on a tank and expose yourself. You want to make sure you hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I probably would have put some points into that, even if you lost a dice or two. I think get 24 dice, you could probably afford to lose something to boost that up
I
for
think I'd
second.
have boosted that.
Now
The
what it might
anti-tank
be.
team and the sniper, I would have made veteran, but
So what this might be, Mike, is I haven't seen the partisan army list. They're getting borrowed weapons. They may only be able to bring it inexperienced.
good point.
Yeah, because maybe
And that
they're
makes
not
sense.
proficient at using it.
Right. Right.
Kind of like a captured tank or something. You can only bring them inexperienced.
I like
He,
that. That's good.
he has a light howitzer here. That's
Mm-hmm.
also inexperienced. So I'm guessing he's going to basically treat this as another medium mortar, being inexperienced. Um, he'll probably indirect fire it all the time because shooting it over open sights probably not going to hit ever. And you're going to be at the
Hmm.
best. You're probably going to be hitting on sixes. But if you can range in with it, then even if it's inexperienced, it'll go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he doesn't have a spotter with it, so
yeah. You can't have a spotter for an inexperienced anything.
interesting.
Well, you
Okay.
can, but they just can't. It's a stupid rule. You can have a spotter, but he can't spot for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've seen
Wow.
people bring them, but the only reason they do it is to increase their forward deploying units, so they can. If a guy's got a sniper, well, I'll put my inexperienced spotter out, and then that way I'll force him to deploy a sniper. So now I know where a sniper is, and I can put the spotters that I don't want to get killed in a different location.
Oh my goodness.
It's kind of a gamey way to do it, but I've seen
There
people
you
do it.
go. Hey, it's part of the rules. There we go.
Yep, yeah, it is.
Okay.
All right,
Looks like he's got another platoon here.
another
There we go.
platoon. Of course, with 24 dice, you'd have to have another platoon. Another second lieutenant in experience because that's the tax you pay. And now he's got 2 squads of guerrilla fighters.
Yeah.
And these have all submachine guns.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like my commandos, 8-man
And they're
squad,
veteran.
and they're
Yeah.
veteran. 128 points. That's about what the commandos cost you. Commandos do get a um, behind enemy lines. I think they get an extra ability that they don't have to pay for. So I can
Hmm.
bring eight commandos with SMGs and it'll be the same cost. So,
Oh my gosh. Look at the next squad.
yeah, so he's got 24 points. Inexperienced partisan squad. This is a
with
dice in the
pistols.
bag. This is just a dice
Yeah,
in the bag. Um,
that's exactly right. Oh
uh,
my gosh, they should have stayed home.
well, you think they're worthless, but um, I played against Chris the other night, and he had a green squad, 5-man green squad, which is pretty vulnerable. Can't do a whole lot. They can hold objectives, but uh, we were playing double envelopment, and the road was wide open, and I was getting ready to run my truck down the road off the board and score 3 points, and he puts his squad right in the middle of the road, and I can't go down the road. I have to
Literally a
kill that
speed bump.
squad. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it blocks you. You can't do it. So it was either kill them or go around them. And if you had a
Wow.
tank, you could probably do a tank assault.
Right.
Um, yeah, but a vehicle, you can't do that. So
Oh
it was
my
a
gosh, that's hilarious.
yeah.
But you said they cannot hold objectives because they're inexperienced?
No, they can hold them. That's another thing that they
Okay,
can do. So you can, you're not going to put them into combat, but you might run them up and contest an objective at the end
you
of the
bet.
game. Um,
Sure.
yeah, or
Nobody's
transports, because transports run away. Throw them into transport, and then that way that transport's safe from proximity to enemies.
right.
Another flamethrower. So he's got 2 flamethrowers in his army.
Yep.
Poor maintenance. It'll be interesting to see how quickly these things run out of fuel. Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah. So,
Did you remember the lighter fluid?
yeah. Did you fill both tanks? Well, or you got a leak.
Ooh, you don't want to have a leak.
No,
That's
you don't want
bad.
to have a leak. No.
Boy.
All right. Another medium mortar inexperienced.
Yep.
So he's loading
And
up
I
on
think
these.
you're right.
Yeah. Another sniper team, inexperienced. So, yeah, I'm probably wanting to shoot. I got a veteran sniper. I'm probably going to want to be shooting at this sniper team because
Yeah.
I'll be able to hit on a 3, and then I only need a 3 to kill them. So we'll see how that
Four,
goes.
small team.
Yeah. Well, not with sniper. Ignore
No,
small team.
snipers don't care about that, do they? Okay.
No. At least in version 2. Version 3, that's going to change. But
Yeah.
um, another bazooka.
See, see, I tell you what I would do for my second anti-tank if I had the option instead of a bazooka. I would bring that trusty anti-tank rifle.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is so useful. It's good for punching infantry out of buildings. It's good for taking out light armor. I mean, I understand why historically they did away with them,
Yeah.
but man, it is just fantastic for dealing with light armor at range. And again,
Even
even to
even
reach
just
back
putting
to,
sometimes that just putting a pin on something makes a difference.
you bet,
You just shoot
and
at it just to put a pin on it.
right, and even to reach back, again to reference squad leader again. You guys need to count how many times I reference squad leader. 'Cause I played a lot of it, and I still do. But like your
So you played squad
Panzerfaust and
leader
squad
before?
leader, huh?
You played squad leader before?
Just a little bit. Yeah, I think I started playing it in '84, and I still play it every chance I get. Heck, you and I
Yeah.
play it every chance we get.
Yeah.
But like a Panzerfaust in that game's got a range of 2 hexes, 3. Bazooka's got a range of 4. I think the Panzer Shrek has a range of 6. Uh, and then the anti-tank rifle's got a range of 12.
Yeah.
So, makes a difference when you can reach out and, to your point, Randy, throw some pins on something or have a chance of knocking out a light armored vehicle.
Yeah.
And,
Or
and,
even a
and
soft.
again, as long as do what?
So say the guy's got a soft skin with engineers in it. That's something you really want to take out.
Oh gosh,
I'm shooting
yes.
at that every
Yeah,
time with that anti-tank rifle.
you bet. You bet. But 2 bazookas is nothing to sneeze at, range
No.
24. But man, getting a hit's going to be just a good luck.
Yeah.
Um, at close range, if you got a real close range, you'd start
If
with a
if you got point blank,
three,
that would
4.
counteract it.
It would help a little bit. If he's not
Yeah.
moving, yeah, it would be 3, 4 because of experience back down to 3 for short range. So that would help.
You're
But
gonna have
boy,
to
at long
move though.
range,
Yeah, to get in short range, you're going to have to move though. There's
Yeah,
no way you're going
yeah.
to be within 6 of a tank and static. So
Nope, nope. So, and another light howitzer because so
yep,
basically the support element of each platoon is the same.
yeah. So basically, he's got
It-
2 medium mortars in both platoons, is what it really
yeah,
amounts.
yeah. So he's going to get a lot of drop shots
Yeah,
at range, which is pretty smart for
yeah.
um
2-inch HE
um
is nothing to sneeze at.
no, also smoke. And I mean, we've seen how
Yeah,
effective smoke can be. Even
yeah.
when it scatters, it's a pain. So that's pretty cool. I like the transports. Civilian car.
Civilian car. So I see this, and I'm kind of seeing where he's going here. So he's got this civilian car that transports 4 guys. Um, so if you put a bazooka team and a flamethrower team in this transport and run them
Right.
out close, then you can jump out, and then you can be within that little 6-inch range, and you can have 2 nasties in one truck.
Wow.
And he's got 2 of them. He's got 2 civilian cars, so there's 2 flamethrowers and 2 bazookas. So I don't
Yeah.
know if he'll put 2 bazookas in one Jeep, or he'll put one in each, one of each in each car.
Man, you can make arguments for both.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, you get 2 bazookas hunting the tank, he's going to have a rough day. I don't care how inexperienced that bazooka team is.
yeah.
He's going to have to be real careful. So now we got here you go. Here's your ever popular pintle mounted
Truck.
thing Randy likes to run, the
Yeah,
machine
I
gun armed
love
truck.
my truck with the machine gun on it. Hauls my Gurkhas and it lays down some cover fire.
Right.
I'm
You
not
know,
sure what he's going to run in this because it holds 12.
yep,
Um, Probably one of his guerrilla fighter squads probably going to go in it, I would
sure.
guess. And then the other one's just going to have to foot slog it. Um, Maybe drop the machine gun and bring 2 trucks, and then he's got a truck for
Well,
each
we still have
one.
another page to look at,
I
so
think
there may
that's
be
the
another
rest of
truck.
it special. Let's see. Yeah, so
Nope, one more truck.
there is 2 trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so he did bring 2 trucks. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And again, even with the trucks, um, as long as you keep them back behind the line of engagement, and you can keep infantry around them to keep enemy infantry away, they can lay down some pretty serious fire. And vehicle mounted machine guns can fire over their own units, can't they? Right?
No, no,
No? Okay.
sure can't. Well, all right. So the rule is that the shot cannot cross within an inch of a friendly unit. So that means either beside it or over his head. So if the
Okay.
shot is an inch over the head of the guy you're shooting over, then it's okay. So if you're on a little bit of a hill, you'll obviously have that extra clearance to
Sure.
shoot.
So nothing to sneeze at. I mean,
Oh boy,
it is definitely the kind of, it's the kind of force a well-equipped partisan unit would have.
yeah.
Um,
No tanks. Okay. So I was looking at this and I'm like, no tanks. And I brought a veteran Piat team on my list. Of course, I'm expecting to run in some tanks at NashCon. But when I play
sure.
them tomorrow, what's my Piat team going to shoot at? Maybe a truck.
Trucks.
I might be able to shoot at a truck.
Right.
If I'm
Yeah.
lucky, I'll try to do that. But
You can shoot a Piat or a bazooka at an individual figure too,
oh
and they're
yeah,
pretty much going to get turned into pink mist.
yeah, I've had
You
that
know,
happen before.
well, and again too, you can punch somebody out of a building or punch them out from behind a wall. So, anti-tank weapons they do have their uses against infantry. They're not they're not heavy HE, but they can certainly get the
Well,
job done.
speaking of HE, I would like to see them add a 1-inch HE to uh, anti tank weapons like this.
Again, looking at the material, certainly for the bazooka and the Panzerschreck,
Yeah,
because it was pretty commonly used against infantry. It wasn't uncommon for it to be used against infantry. Um, the Panzerfaust was a shit, was apparently was not an incredibly explosive round.
yeah, yeah.
So, you know, just for a comparison, in squad leader, um, the bazooka has the same firepower as a German rifle squad, and
Hmm.
then the Panzer Schreck has the same firepower as an American rifle squad. So their HE shells were deemed pretty effective, and then Panzerfaust were strictly anti-tank or anti-building. Um, in bolt action so far, we've seen all shaped charge weapons be treated as anti-tank, anti-building,
Yeah.
but never
So
underestimate, the value of something like a Piat or a bazooka to dig someone out of heavy cover. So
yeah, so
that's not bad.
maybe um, against buildings, um,
Yeah.
because when you hit a building, you create shrapnel, so that creates that he effect. When
Mm-hmm.
that round hits the wall, everything goes flying inside the building, and that's what does damage to people inside.
Yeah. So might research that a little bit. There you go. That's going to be a fun list to play against. And you're running what? You're British?
Yeah, so I've got, and we'll talk about that list next week. Um,
Excellent.
I've got a double platoon Gurkha army. It's got 20 dice. I really thought I was on the high end of dice until I saw his list. So we'll see how it goes. Because what I do is I try to bring more dice than my opponent so that the next turn my Gurkhas are, they're going to get the first dice out of the bag so I can assault before they have a chance to react to me.
Yeah.
And that's usually the plan. But with 24 dice, that's not going to work out. So it'll.
I mean, you look at what some
And,
of his dice are. I mean, the trucks
well,
are an issue. The cars are not.
what I've got to do
But
is I've got to try to whittle down his dice early on, try to get the count evened up, try to pick on some of those inexperienced units.
well, and you've got a cornucopia of targets there.
Yeah,
So, I mean, you can definitely chew up some of those infantry.
yeah,
The
and
cars are a bit
so
vulnerable.
the one thing this is going to allow me to do is test this list. The deadline is actually tomorrow evening, so I'll be able to
Okay.
play this game with Bo tomorrow, and then we'll talk about it. And if there's any changes I want to make before the tournament, I'll have that opportunity to make a few changes. But I'm pretty sure I've got it set the way I want it. We'll just see
Yeah.
how it goes tomorrow.
Now you mentioned that Bo was going to record the game.
Yeah, he's gonna.
Um,
He said he's gonna attempt to record it, and then
okay.
that would be really cool.
And how's he gonna play it back? Is it gonna be on Twitch?
I have no
Um,
idea. So this is new to me. The tabletop
yeah.
simulator. I've only played a few games, and I was kind of wondering how you record the games. And then he mentioned to me today. He was like, "Yeah, let's try to record it." So I'm like, I'm all for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like anything that lets people see the game in play. I did I heard somebody reference playing games on Twitch,
Yeah.
and I don't know if those were tabletop simulator type games or if they were live
Hmm.
action games, but that's something we as a club may look into. We get
Yeah.
one more element to kind of let people look over our shoulders and pick our brains, if you will. Not that we're over experts by anybody's means, but heavens, they might even teach us a few things, and I'll take that for sure.
Yeah.
So
So um, for a lot of people that don't know who Bo Mortensen is, he's a European player, and he's one of the top players in the world. Regular WTC tournament player, and he does a lot of YouTube videos. He's got a channel, and he reviews lists and he talks about units and building stuff, terrain, all kinds of stuff like that. So check him out. Go on YouTube, subscribe to his channel. There's a lot of informative stuff. You're really going to learn a lot by watching his channel.
okay, excellent. So lots of opportunities to learn about bolt action if you've been playing. Um, you know, You can always learn new things. If you're looking at starting, with third edition coming, you're kind of getting a preview, but also seeing some of the tactical options that were coming with out of version two. And tactics are tactics. Some of the stuff's going to remain solid even going into version three. It'll have different interpretations, but a lot of the same tactics and same. You still want to get a flanking maneuver. You still want to block your opponent from getting to the objective. You just have different ways that you do it. So I think it's going to be exciting. I like seeing the army list for V2. I'm hoping we can kind of continue that tradition when V3 launches to kind of look at, especially as the new army lists will come out and people will be trying new things. And I'm sure we'll be doing some comparisons of lists and saying, hey, how's this uniquely a V3 versus a V2 list? So there we
Yeah,
go.
I see a
What
lot
else
of
you got for the folks, Randy?
so yeah, so to that point, I see a lot of different lists now where somebody might bring infantry in a tank battalion, or one guy will bring infantry and artillery battalion. So matchups are going to be key. I really think that how well one list matches up to this other style, some I think it's going to create disadvantages and advantages in how you match up, because you're not going to
Yeah.
have the mixed bag that they have now, where I can take a mortar and an artillery and a tank and a machine gun and this and that, and I'll have a little bit of everything to counteract whatever my opponent brings. Now I'm only going to have a couple things, and if they don't match up well, you're gonna have to come up with something different. You have to
Yeah,
think on your feet.
flexibility is going to be a key. And you
Yeah,
said battalions, but you meant platoons, right?
yeah, yeah.
Too much time in
Yeah,
that Georgia sun today.
yeah. It's more modern. Now they call them battalions and stuff. But
But the other thing to think about too will be you're going to need more command stance coming
yeah,
into version three, and I don't know that is fully hit with people, and I think
oh, they're definitely talking about it. So hopefully they're going to reduce the cost of officers quite a bit, and so the trickle down effect of that is you're going to have more morale bonuses floating around the table, to
and you're
help
going to need
out
them. Yeah,
pin troops.
yeah, yeah. You'll have command stance for your artillery unit. You'll have command stance for your infantry. I would assume the tank commander will be in a tank or maybe in a recon vehicle, but he'll be there in a vehicle. So all right. So there you go, guys. This is what
Yep.
they've revealed to us so far on third edition with vehicles. You heard a little bit of the discussion of some of the other things. They started off with machine guns, what I call making medium machine guns great again. And infantry machine guns definitely gained a lot. Vehicle machine guns got significantly nerfed, but it all makes a little bit of sense. What else have we talked about? Special rules a little bit, and I've seen some more discussion about that. The new version 3 is going to have a lot more options of how you want to play your game. And it's going to give us that are tournament organizers some really interesting tools in our toolbox when we're putting scenarios together. We have a tournament coming up here August 24th, and I pulled the rules out, but last year when we ran it, and it actually was a year ago, Randy,
Yeah,
we actually put a random dust storm and a random snowstorm, random rainstorm
yeah,
that
yeah,
the players promptly forgot to roll for um,
yeah,
in
yeah,
the in the scenario description. So weather's a thing. Not all battles. Most battles didn't take place under sunny skies and blue skies and bright sunshine. A lot of stuff happened under snow and rain and sand, and you learn to you throw that into your table, and again it helps make for a more interesting story, and that's what keeps us coming back. That and the awesome fellowship. So there you
yeah.
go.
So these tables that they're put out are world class tables. We've really got some nice tables. So anybody listening, if you're out of state, it's worth the drive to come and play in this tournament. Prizes are going to be great. You're going to have fun. You're going to really enjoy the. You're not going to see 40K type bolt action tables. These are going to be thematic. They're going to really look good, and I think everybody would enjoy playing on them.
Yeah, if we err on anything, it's to have maybe too much terrain. But
Yeah,
I would rather have people have more options for cover. Other than the desert, the desert's often quite open. and
Yeah.
I am kicking around doing a Russian step table, but I don't know. I still like my woods and I still like my hedgerows. So there you go. So that's some things that are happening here in the Savannah area. We got a version 2 bolt action tournament coming up at the end of August. It's going to be our last version 2 tournament. At least I think we've kicked around maybe doing one in October, but that would be a version 3 if we do that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
So
a couple of
there we go.
going on in October. Um,
Do what?
I think there's a couple tournaments in Florida um, in October, and they'll be version threes. I think there's
Yeah,
one.
that group down. Yeah, that group down in Lakeland. I think they run one a month, and they put a nice show on.
Yeah,
So of course, your Savannah, and that's the whole thing is we get a lot of support. Those of us that are TOs, Warlord looks out for us. War Games Atlantic looks out for us. Tina's Tanks looks out for us. So we get good price support, and that makes it nice. And then, what I'm seeing among the tournament crowd, our tournament crowds are all very, very sportsmanlike. New players are always welcome and always. I hesitate to use the word tolerated, but I would say taken care of, I guess. We're not going to just take, if you show up as a new player and folks know you're new, they're not going to necessarily just monkey stomp you.
yeah,
And so that's one of the things I find in our community is it's very sportsmanlike, very gentlemanly, and we're always looking to help new players come in. And again, if you're watching this and you've thought about bolt action, now's a great time to get in. So there you go.
yeah.
Randy, that's all I have from my side of the table. How about you?
That's it for me. I'm looking forward to the tournament. I got a tournament Sunday in Columbus at Moxie Games. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Bo tomorrow and then playing in the tournament on Sunday.
You and Chris are going to that one, right?
I don't think Chris is going to that one. I tried
Okay.
to. Yeah, it's too far.
All
I think
right.
it's like 5 hours across the state for him.
Man.
But
All
I've
right. Well,
got Theron more from Atlanta. He's going,
yep.
and then Dwayne. I think you've met Dwayne. Dwayne Mann.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, so he's going.
Good.
So yeah, so we'll have a pretty good turnout. I think we're going to have like 12, the way it's looking.
All right.
Yeah.
Get some pictures.
Yep.
Pictures or it didn't happen. We'll start a rumor that you're out running around with wild women or something. So fantastic. All right, guys. And again, to the audience, if you've hung in there with us, it's been a bit of a long video, been here about an hour. Hope you've stayed with us. Hope you've picked up a few things, both on version 3, what's coming, version 2 on list building, because there's still going to be some more version 2 action. Again, please, if you like it, hit the like button. If you tolerate it, hit the like button. There you go. Subscribe to the channel. We have
Subscribe.
several things coming. In addition, what's that, Randy?
Oh, subscribe. That
Yeah,
helps out everybody when you subscribe.
yeah, yeah. Keeps you in the loop. We do more than just bolt action. We've got an interview that's going to be coming up early part of next week with John Russell, who's the Warlord North American guy, and he's got some interesting news about incoming items for Warlord. So you'll want to catch that, and
Yeah,
then
maybe.
do us a favor and share the video. Share it with someone you like. Share it to your groups. Let's help people kind of just more intel is always better.
Yeah, so
So with
maybe you
that.
can pry a little extra information out of him when you talk to him about version three.
I don't know. John's pretty tight-lipped now. So,
Yeah,
and I've already done the interview, so it's in the can.
they're like the
But it'll be
CIA about getting information out of them.
it's all right, John. Fess up. He says there's more good stuff coming. I can tell you that much.
Yeah,
And we'll have a couple of other interesting bolt action things to share with you folks. So hang on. I can tell you this. Hang on to your version 2 rule books. We're going to have a use for them.
yeah.
So, all right. Yep, absolutely. So, you guys have a good night and thank you for your time.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.